doors, or even behind iron walls, to feel the need to be set free. You want to liberate your mind, controlling secrets, yet you will find the need to be set free. And the Lord says, captives be free, just come to me. I'll break those chains that hold you down.
Hi everybody, welcome to Heroes of Hope. This show's been designed to be able to bring to you testimonies, organizations, churches, and many different programs that are being put together here in Staten Island to combat against the drug epidemic. And we want to encourage you today to lock in with us in this special interview that we have from Church at the Gateway. We have Brother Jack Gibson, which is a retired NYPD sergeant attending Gateway Church. And he has a very powerful testimony that he's able to share with us today. And throughout this episode, you're also going to be able to get a lot of resources and things that you can write down, and have telephone numbers that you can call to help you in equipping yourself to have all that you need to overcome any kind of addiction or anything that you're in need of at this time concerning this epidemic. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Jack. I'm so
Same
glad
here.
you were able to come out. And so I guess my first question would be if you can share with the viewers a little more about yourself.
Yes, I'm presently retired right now. For 3 years, I was a sergeant with the police department for 25 years, and did another 13 years with a private security outfit for one of the Wall Street brokers. And during the last 3 years, I've done my traveling and things like that. But probably the biggest reward is that right now I'm babysitting for my 1-year-old granddaughter, and me and my wife. And if I didn't have this makeover that I've experienced going through Celebrate Recovery, I would not be there to enjoy those moments with her. And it's been I can't put into words. With her smile lights up my day. And it's really wonderful, and part of that started with me coming to Gateway. And basically what it was, my wife was going there. We were in the middle of a divorce. All we had to do was basically sign the divorce papers, and it would have been over and done with. But the thing she said to me, she says, Jack, I know we can't be together, but I don't want you not to be in heaven with the kids forever. That struck me like a thunderbolt. So she says, why don't you come? Do not sit with me. Sit on the other side of the church. And so that's what I did. And I was going there, and after a couple of times, Pastor Dan McAldo was given a sermon. And I think my wife must have gave him all the questions, because he directed the entire sermon towards me, which me in turn, when you're down and you're alone, I was doing some soul searching, and I put my head forward on the seat in front of me, and I cried for the entire sermon. A woman next to me says to me, Jack, she doesn't know me, I'm sorry. She says, I don't normally do this, but something's telling me to hug you. And when she hugged me, I felt like God hugged me at that moment. And I've told that to my friends, and my friends, they says, that's kind of like a brave thing to say, because you come from a macho organization. And to hear me say that to them, I'm not embarrassed. Mm-hmm. I say that to my brother-in-laws and everyone. And because of that, my wife was going to grief share at Church at the Gateway, and she was going there because she says, I lost my partner of 35 years. And she said to me, she says, I was going there because I was grieving you like you died. She used to tell me all the time, she says, she was trying to break that wall that I had up. And she says, I used to try to talk to you and I couldn't find a crack in that wall. She used to say to me, I was a jack, I was a jackass and a Jack Frost because my heart was so cold. And so she said to me, go to get a Celebrate Recovery, and lo and behold, I says, all right, I'll go. And that walk through the parking lot it was a very long walk for me. I was dawdling actually, and I just said, I'm going to this thing. It's Celebrate Recovery is just about alcohol and drugs. Little did I know it's more than that, much more than that. I learned a lot of things about myself during that. I'm there 5 years, and what's amazing is while I'm going there, that common thread that all of us were suffering with, hurts, habits, and hang-ups, was we all had our reasons and our emotions were the same, but there was like a common thread for all of us. And I started to see it. I used to call that my aha moments. And during my aha moments, I would say, wow, I never even thought of that. And part of that was as being a parent of 3 children that were over 21. I would listen to these young fellas that would come in, and girls, and when they start talking, and a lot of times they related back to their father, and how their father was with them, and how he wasn't there for them, and what they missed. And I know the younger people were listening to that, shaking their head, yeah, but I was listening to it from the point of view as a father that I would never want to do that to my children. So as part of the Celebrate Recovery mantra, you have to make amends to people that you hurt. Did I hurt a lot of people? Yeah, I had everybody involved in my in my hurt and hang up. My sisters, my mother, my kids. I was doing so much collateral damage to relationships. My wife used to tell me, part of the reason that you're here today is because you were a good man. You had a lot of interest built up in the bank. And she says, it killed me to know that you were straying, that you were going to lose that. And I even bring up now, I says, a lot has to do with your reputation. I was always the go-to guy in my family. It was a problem. I'm the oldest of 7 children. Jack, can you help us with this? This goes on. Yeah, I'll be over in a little while. And I lost that. I really lost that. And now that I've gone through this walk of, in part of our breakout meetings, we call peeling back the onion. And when you peel back that onion, you're taking those layers away of what your hurt was. It's not the alcohol, it's not the drugs, it's not the overeating, it's not the gambling. You're covering it up, and you have to get to the root problem with what your problem was. And sometimes when you go and peeling that onion back, the onion makes you cry. It's like we talk about, when you get into that deep hurt, sometimes you got to pull that Band-Aid off. And when you pull the Band-Aid off, I have a lot of hair on my arm, so anytime they pull a Band-Aid off, I'm like on the verge of crying. So it's, during my walk, there were times I cried. Yeah, I did cry. I lived in my own apartment for a year. I used to go to bed at night, no one around, quiet house, and I would go to bed, and I would have the Bible underneath my pillow. And one night in particular, when I would go to bed at night, I would think about all of this excess baggage, the wrong things I did in those years, and it would come into my mind. And then I would open the Bible and I'd start reading, and I would fall asleep with it on my chest, and one particular evening. And I tell my buddies this. I says, there was a battle going on for my soul that night. There was the battle of God and he was fighting the devil. And you know something, when the devil gets a stronghold on you and you're a good person, you're like a feather in his cap. He wants you. He does not want to give up on you. He never wants to let you go.
That's right.
And that night, like I said, I had that struggle going on that night. I know I've been rambling on here.
No, you're doing great. I appreciate you being sincere and honest, and the whole episode is dedicated to what's gone on in your life. When you look at this drug epidemic within Staten Island and all the different things that NYPD's been working on, and all the articles that we're seeing and statistics that are out of this world, knowing that we have over 500,000 people here in Staten Island, but yet we are leading New York in overdoses, and I believe we're close to tied with Brooklyn with suicides.
Right.
And per capita, that's insane in reference to these statistics. What are your thoughts concerning, what you've been experiencing on that side of the coin?
When I see the young people come into our meetings, it hurts me, because I had once when I was 12, once when I was 15, I had two uncles who overdosed on heroin, and I seen what that did to my grandparents. My grandfather, after my second uncle passed away, about a week later, he had a heart attack. He died of a broken heart, and I see the damage that was done there. And when you're young, you're kind of like, especially being the oldest, you're like, your ears are always open. You listen to what's going on, and you say, my goodness, all of this. And then when I was a police officer, I dealt with it a different way. I was only arresting the bad people,
Right.
the people that were dealing with drugs. It wasn't my job to be concerned about them post their rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I think we all have a responsibility to help these people. And you know something, the heartache, if you lose a child, you could never, there's nothing in this world that can replace it.
That's right.
And especially with these drugs, a person could use it one time and pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you question yourself for the rest of your life. And you know something, it's for the parents. There are people that are going to come to you, and I want to say this to the people out there. There are people that are going to come to you and tell you things about your children that you may not want to hear. Do not close your eyes. Do not close your eyes. Because the next time you open them, that child might not be here. So,
Do you think that Celebrate Recovery is a program that would be able to help parents with one, denial, and then also maybe with healing of the hurt that has already taken place, and so on both sides of the coin, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's denial that nothing happened yet, or it
Right.
didn't hit the worst part of the situation
Right.
yet, but it's coming out of denial
Right.
that is so detrimental. And then the other side of the coin of it's already happened, and now you're wounded, and you got to deal with these hurts. And do you think that Celebrate Recovery at your church and also other churches, do you believe that this program would really help people in that condition? Because when they say recovery, like you said, they think of drugs.
right,
So when you say Celebrate Recovery, people think it's for addiction.
right.
But from what I'm hearing, it's not really just about addiction.
It's not really, because what happens is that when you have a drug problem, it's like having somebody with cancer. It affects the entire family. And you have to have an outlet to come and talk. And when we open our meeting, and one of the 5 rules that we go over is that what's said there is confidential.
Yeah.
It's not to leave the group. And you know something? Sometimes you just need someone to talk to. That's not a family member that you're holding back. Do people, when they first come, they don't want to tell the story. They're embarrassed. They don't want to go into it too much. But after a while, they start hearing other people's
That's a key.
their hurts.
Yeah.
And you know something? It's codependency. That's what it is. Your life revolves around the saying, the ifs. If I did this, if I did that, and you can't live
So
like
would've,
that.
should've, could've.
Right, and you know something? Are we professionals? No, we're not professionals. Do we point people in the right direction? Yes, we do.
And we're not there to fix anyone.
And we're not there to fix anyone, no.
Yeah,
no.
absolutely.
And sometimes just like I said, I've had my epiphanies listening to other people's problems and their explanations. And like I said, I opened them, I'm one of the facilitators to open the meeting, and everybody would laugh because I'd always probably come up with, I had an aha moment. And in the very beginning, especially the first two years, I had so many aha moments. They would call me aha. Because it started to become a joke, and which is good.
Aha!
Aha.
I have another question for you. In reference to what you see happening throughout Staten Island concerning Heroes of Hope, pastors coming together and churches coming together and organizations coming together, and I know that you were able to see that firsthand. You were a witness of something spectacular that took place in September there with Heroes of Hope on the grounds of Church at the Gateway. What are your thoughts concerning the unity that has been manifesting and stuff like that? How did that affect you?
On a personal level, like I said, I wouldn't want to see a family go through the hurt that happened to them, and a lot of times, the worst thing that you can do is keep things in the dark. And when the Advents will publicize the addictions, the people are getting fed up. They're going to say, let's do something. Let's help these people. And you have to. There are the police departments out there. They want to hear from people that all of these things are going on with them.
Right.
They don't want to close their eyes.
Right.
Something. Those cops and those sergeants, those lieutenants, they're parents, and you don't want to ever see another parent go through that. And you don't want to. And something. You can't live in the dark. You live in the dark. It's terrible.
You must have really enjoyed seeing the NYPD with churches and
Yes.
public officials put on that event
Right.
at that day. How did that minister to you? Like, was it encouraging or?
Yeah, it was. And something. And they had several classes during the day there. And one was they gave the demonstration with Narcon. And
Right,
I never
right.
really realized what
We had three Narcon
Right,
trainings
right,
that day
over-
during the day.
Right, and
during
it was
the
had to be
shows.
100 people in it, every
Yeah,
one of them.
yeah.
And the Narcon, there was things I didn't even know about. I didn't even know that once you give the person that shot, that when they come to, they're craving the drugs if they didn't have any in their system. You think, I thought you give them a shot, they're better.
Right.
Maybe not forever, but I
Right.
thought they were better.
Right.
And that's really a critical moment.
Yeah.
And that and knowledge is power. I know it's a cliche, but knowledge is power. And if you don't have the resources, and there's many resources out there, you just have to know where to look.
Yeah.
It's like dialing 411. You want information.
Yeah.
We're one of those groups that can give you that information.
So that knock-on experience there on at the Heroes of Hope Festival at the Church of the Gateway, that was a tremendous blessing to you.
Right.
And about 300 other people.
And you know what there's 300 people there. You know how many people should have been there? 3,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
Because we don't like to deal with bad things a lot of times. We put them off, and you want to close your eyes to them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when I directed it to the parents, there are things going on, and people might be coming to you. They might not be saying your son or daughter's delving into narcotics, but they might say something offshoot from that to
Yeah.
try to give you some food for thought.
Yeah.
You can't disregard it.
Yeah.
Please do not disregard that.
It's a pretty awesome experience to be able to work together and do that and see the lives of people changed. Right now there's there's 3 Celebrate recoveries in Staten Island, and we have 4 more being trained as we speak to be launched in Staten Island, which means we'll have 7. And so our goal is by the end of this year that we would have anywhere between 8 to 12 Celebrate Recoveries
Correct.
in Staten Island. And they're focused in on the North Shore and the South Shore.
Right.
And so we're excited about that. It's taking a lot of work in the sense of training and developing and stuff, but it's very much needed in reference to what we're doing. And so to see the lives of the people that are changed like yourself
Right.
is so important.
Right.
Because not everybody's coming out of a drug addict background.
No, they're not.
You didn't come out of a drug addict background.
And you know what, something with having other problems and coming from another direction. When you go to, if you have a narcotics problem and you go to a meeting and you get someone that overcame that problem, you know you're going to latch on to that person and get feedback from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with these other problems. You know, fellas have come to me and said to me, what can I do? I'm in the middle of a turmoil with my marriage.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have people there that are going to maybe support those people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, overeating, whatever the case might be. With our group, we had a young lady that used to she came there because she was overeating, and as being nice people, we were always putting cookies and cake and she said, you know, I'm here for this, but could you put a healthy snack out?
Yeah.
If you don't say something,
That's right.
you know.
It's very important. You know, one of the things about Celebrate Recovery that I'm so impressed with is not just the way the format is laid out, but the ability to be able to have a large group session where you have a topic,
Right.
but yet the topic is supported with the Bible, with the Word of God.
Exactly.
And when things are taught or when things are shared biblically, it would blow my mind because I didn't know that there was actual scriptures in the Bible, scriptures in the Holy Bible,
Right.
that actually could relate it to my problem at this very moment.
Exactly.
And so I never seen it like that. I never seen that the Bible actually spoke that way. And so through being a part of this type of a program, I've been able to turn around and find out that the Word of God speaks directly into the issues of our lives.
Exactly.
And that's made a tremendous difference to me. And it's also made me see the Bible different, where I can relate to it.
It's a living
I can-
document.
yeah, you know what I mean? And so sometimes people look at the Bible and they feel like I'm not supposed to touch that, or I'm not supposed to read that, or I'm not supposed to know everything about that, when in reality it's a love letter from God to us.
Right.
And He wants us to go into it. So a program like this literally breaks it down in areas of recovery. That is tremendous. When they do the large group session and they're able to do like a 20-minute teaching on something, it's like planting seeds, right?
Right.
It's like you're listening and you're feeling something in reference to what you're going through. And then all of a sudden you go into the share group.
An aha moment.
Yeah, the ha-ha, exactly.
Right.
And you go in the share group and you're peeling back the onion in a sense, and it's, you know, people start talking about that specific thing, let's say like denial, and as they're talking, you hear other people saying certain things in reference to what was just taught, and they're personalizing it, and not only are they relating to you, but what you came with, the one thing you brought, you find out that there's a couple of other things that come up out of that.
Well, we always
And
talk
it's
about
pretty
our
cool, you know?
we call it Tylenol. It's just a different flavor of Tylenol, and it's still Tylenol.
You guys got a lot of little good humorous
Well,
ways to see
with-
things. That's good. That's
well,
very
we're
good.
there for 6 years. I'm there for 5. Actually, I want to my 5-year chip I just
Yeah.
got. But
Awesome.
it's
I think Pastor Brenda's writing these things down, peeling the onion, you know, the aha moment.
any way we could help is terrific.
Well, the reality is we're both trophies of grace.
Yes.
In the simplicity of how we want to do it. We are trophies of grace, and we need to be able to communicate the message with people. My thing was coming out of a drug-addicted background, a violent background, but yours is in a different approach. It comes from more hurts, hang-ups. And so it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of issues that are down deeper than the problem that needs to be addressed. We don't discourage people from all the other organizations that are doing a great job in what they do concerning mental health, concerning emotional stability, and all these different things that they do. But we found out that in Celebrate Recovery, in a Christ-centered program,
Exactly.
that we find healing, we find deliverance, we find freedom, we find wholeness, and that is a good place. Doesn't mean we don't have to exercise it for the rest of our lives. We do, but we're not dealing with a disease that lasts a lifetime.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like we surrender that.
Right.
And we become a new creation, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna ask you to do me a favor and look into that camera, and 60 seconds, just let the viewers know from your heart how Celebrate Recovery can help them, and what day and time is Celebrate Recovery taking place in your church.
Celebrate Recovery takes place at the Church of the Gateway every Monday night, 7 p.m. We run to 9 o'clock. One of my favorite expressions, and I use it all the time, is especially when you're looking around the room, and I'm a facilitator, and I look around the room and I can actually see somebody that's hurting, and I direct this saying to them is that don't quit before the miracle. Put the time in, come to us. It's not, listen, your problem didn't happen in one day. It's not going to be fixed in one day. You have to build on it. We talk about having a toolbox. The toolbox can be filled with telephone numbers for folks that you could reach out to from the group. And you have to fill that toolbox, because when things go bad, you want to reach into that toolbox and say, listen, I can call Johnny up and he's going to talk to me when things are going bad.
Yeah. So Monday, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Celebrate Recovery. Great man of God right here, testimony. I want to encourage you to go check out what's going on at Celebrate Recovery there at the Church of the Gateway with Pastor Tim McCaldo and Dan McCaldo. God bless you. Talk to you soon.